Today, there's a lot of new information coming out of Avdiivka. Russian forces finished reorganizing and then launched another series of attacks. The most intense fighting occurred in the northern part of Avdiivka, where the Russians were determined to gain a foothold on the chemical plant grounds. Russian sources released footage from their reconnaissance drones, revealing the view Russians have when approaching the plant. The chemical plant is impressively large and features numerous buildings and other structures used as defenses. Russian sources mentioned that the intricate layout provides Ukrainians with ample opportunities to install surveillance cameras or electronic warfare systems, making it very hard for Russian drones to spot them in such a complex environment. Interestingly, Russian analysts recently expressed frustration about Russian forces persisting in using the same road, despite it being under constant ATGM fire. Today, a Russian soldier shared a video showing a line of destroyed Russian vehicles on that same road near the chemical plant. Some analysts believe this is the exact area of concern, but it seems to have had no impact, as Russian commanders continue sending forces down that route. Furthermore, Ukrainians have continued to target key Russian supply routes from Avdiivka, as seen in a previous video. Fighters from the 109th Brigade demonstrated seizing multiple pieces of equipment in Verkhnodorets. In one incident, Ukrainians destroyed a satellite communication system, a howitzer, an armored fighting vehicle, 3 personnel or equipment-carrying trucks, and 3 cars used by Russian soldiers. These actions hindered Russia's ability to launch a new wave of attacks. Despite this, the Russians were ordered to advance with the forces they had managed to gather. The initial focus of the attack was on the chemical plant. As Russians lost control over the tree lines in front of the plant during reorganization, their primary goal was to reclaim them. Russian forces quickly intensified their offensive in an attempt to make gains before Ukrainians could mount a substantial defense. After securing the tree lines, Russians began sending even more troops to establish a foothold on the plant's territory. Unfortunately for the Russians, Ukrainians had complete artillery control over these tree lines. A video from the 47th Brigade showcased Ukrainian forces firing from Bradleys directly at the tree lines used by the Russians for reinforcements. This put the Russian forces in a difficult position, prompting them to redirect their forces to counter the Ukrainian firing positions. As a result, they initiated another attack towards Stepove. The objective was to drive Ukrainians out of the village and, at least temporarily, suppress machine gun fire. However, this plan also failed. Ukrainian mechanized units effectively controlled the Stepove area. According to a fighter from the 24th Brigade, the Russians used around 20 different vehicles, crossed the railway tracks, and ended up with 90% of the assault unit destroyed, forcing the remaining soldiers to flee. The unsuccessful attack on Stepove weakened the Russian assault on the chemical plant, leading to a Russian retreat. In essence, Ukrainian forces gained control over Russian supply routes critical for any attack on the chemical plant. As a result, the Russians not only failed to amass a significant force to overcome the Ukrainian defense but also had their offensive capabilities hindered by using roads exposed to Ukrainian fire. Additionally, the shortage of forces prevented the Russians from adapting to emerging threats, resulting in the attack ending without any significant achievements.